Hello. In this video, we're going to look for the fastest method for you to solve equations, nSolve, numerical solve in TI Nspire. I also going to show you why you have to be careful with that, because IB exam mode in your calculator will change the settings so that you are not able to solve equations unless you add something at the end of the command. This might be true for other exam modes as well. I'm only aware of IB exam mode, but you really have to be aware of this if you are going to use numerical solve. I'm recommending using numerical solve if you are solving equation, because that's the fastest method for you to do it. For quadratic equations and trigonometric equations, I would definitely use graphical method. I'm going to do a separate video for that. But now let's go through some examples where you have to be careful with numerical solve. But when you know how it works, you are able to solve equations fast. Here is our first equation from final exams. This is exponential equation. This is how you solve it. You choose calculate here. You press menu and you go into algebra. But here you have to be aware of that your IB exam mode in the calculator, you are not having, for example, solve command. All you have is numerical solve, system of equations, and polynomial tools. Now we are going to use numerical solve. So we choose that one. So here's the command, and it's pretty straightforward use. So here we type in our equation as it is, and this E here is called natural exponent, and you will find it here on the left hand side in the middle in your calculator. So we press that one, and then minus x, and you have to be adding dot x at the end. So you have to tell calculator that I'm solving x. So that's what you have to do. And then we press enter, and this is our solution to our first question. So there is nothing, no tricks needed here. So you get the answer pretty fast with numerical solve. Now my following examples, you will see that we need to add something into our command. Here's our another example, also exponential equation. And let's do this one. Doing it the same way, menu, algebra, numerical solve, and we type in our equation same way as we did previously. Now here is something that happens when your calculator is in an exam mode. My computer version will solve this, but if your calculator is in an exam mode, in IB exam mode, you are not able to solve it with this command. One thing here, usually equations are not using x. We have t here in the equation, but of course in our calculator we have to use x. So if I press enter, my calculator or my computer version will solve it, but this is not the case in IB exam mode. So you would have to add something there. So I'm going to show how the IB exam mode calculator look like. So here's an error saying no solution. Reason being that numerical solve will starts looking for solution close to 0. And now the solution is so far from the 0, 5,700 and so on, it will not be able to find it in an IB exam mode. I don't know what restrictions there are, but it will say there is no solution. And how do you solve this is you will tell calculator that instead of looking for the answer from around 0, go ahead and look somewhere further. And this is a bit tricky part because you don't know where the solution is. So you might have to try and see. You kind of should be aware of how far is the solution. So that's the tricky part here. So in this question, if this would happen, you could use graphical method as well. But what happens with your IB exam mode in your calculator, you would have to cast that, well, go around and check from 3000. Start from 3000 with numerical solve and try to find a solution. And then it would found it. Even 2000 is not enough. It will say you no solution. 3000, that would be enough. So you would have to try and see what number works. So that's the tricky part with numerical solve. That doesn't happen often that you will have to do this, but this is the question I found, that this is what happens. But this is the notation. So what it means, the numerical solve will start from 3000, looking for the solution around 3000, and then it finds the answer. So here is the solution for our next example. And then let's go to another one, which is a trigonometric equation. And I would use graphical method for trigonometric equation. But if you want to solve this equation with numerical solve, it is possible. Starting the same way, menu, algebra, numerical solve. And again, typing the equation exactly as it is. Trigonometric functions you will find here on the left in the middle. We have sine function, and then we have 30 times x, and then we have plus 4, and then at the end again we will add dot x. And now if I will solve this equation, it will find the solution that is closest to 0, and it's a negative value. And in this question in IB finals, x, or you can see it's t here, it's time, and we don't have negative times. So this answer here to this equation makes no sense in the context of the question. And how you solve this with numerical solve, again, we have to add something into our command. And first you will copy the previous command going upwards in your calculator and pressing enter. You can copy the command down here. And then what we need to add, well, one thing is you could add, like we did in a previous question, you would add dot, let's say 5. Let's see if that will give us, yes, it will give us the right answer. This is the answer to this question. So you could try and see what initial number would work to find you another solution than negative. That would work. Or this works with trigonometric equations every time, that you will add at the end of the command, you will go here on the left where you have this equal sign. You press Control and this equal sign. You will see this line, vertical line. So we add that one. Then we tell x needs to be greater than 0. So this vertical line, x, and then we go back to this Control and equal sign, and we choose greater than 0. So now this nSolve will only look for positive solutions, and here is our answer, same 6.649, and that would be the right answer to this question. Trigonometric equations are a bit tricky because basically you have infinite number of solutions, and you would find more solutions to this equation if needed by, again, if I copy that same equation, and instead of having x greater than 0, if I change that x has to be greater than, let's say, 7, I would find another solution to this equation. So this way you could use numerical solve to find all the solutions for trigonometric equations, but I still would do graphical method for trigonometric equation. Then our last example, and here numerical solve is maybe the best way to do this. because graphical method would involve you to find the proper window setting to solve this so-called logarithmic equation. But again, here you need add this x greater than 0 at the end of the command. Your IB mode, exam mode, will not solve that. Here you can see how it looks if you try to solve this equation without the added x greater than 0 at the end of the command. Here I'm going to first do the algebra numerical solve, adding our equation, and logarithmic you can find again here on the middle left hand side, control and this button here, 10 base logarithm x times 10 to the power 12. So trying to solve this way, now my computer version will do it, but your IB exam mode doesn't. So we would have to add again this vertical line, and then x needs to be greater than 0. And we could solve this equation. Now you see a problem here. What's wrong with my solving is that I don't have dot x at the end because I need to tell calculator what I'm solving. And this is the solution for logarithmic equation. And this is how you solve logarithmic equations. You have to add x greater than 0 in IB exam mode. So here is numerical solve. It's fast method, but also you have to be aware of its limitations, especially in IB exam mode. I will have more videos on examples you find in IB exams where you solve equations, and I also go through graphical method and why it's benefiting in some type of questions. But this is how numerical solve works in TI Nspire. See you in the next video.